Welcome back to It's Not a Sport, episode 9. We have a lot of Borderlands information came out this week, as well as a lot of concerns, so to speak. But we're going to start, as usual, with esports and then hop into news. So, with esports, in terms of LCS, they're all in playoffs right now. So the first qualifiers for the North American League of Legends Championship was TSM versus Echo Fox and FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. TSM won 3 wins, 1 loss to Echo Fox, and FlyQuest won for 3 wins, 2 losses against Golden Guardians. So now this week they move up to semifinals, which FlyQuest will fight Team Liquid and TSM will fight Cloud9. In Europe, Fnatic 3-0'd Vitality and Splice 3-1 SK Gaming. Then Fnatic 3-1 Splice, and the Origins G2 game is yet to happen. In Korea, Damwon won round 1. And then Kingzone 3-0'd Damwon in the qualifiers. And next up will be SKT versus Kingzone. In China, Team WE lost to JW Gaming in round 1. Sinnoh Dragons Gaming 3-0'd Edward Gaming in round 1 also. In qualifiers, which is up next, we have Royals Never Give Up versus JD Gaming. And Sinnoh Dragons Gaming versus Top Sports Gaming. In the Overwatch League, which of course at the time of recording this, they are currently playing. It is currently London Spitfires versus Florida Mayhem. They're moving on to stage 2 now. And in stage 2, New York is in first, followed by Paris, then Los Angeles, then Boston, then Vancouver, then Toronto, then San Francisco, then Seoul Dynasty, then Dallas Fusion, Houston Outlaws, London Spitfires, Hangzhou Spark, Chengdu Hunters, Washington Justice, Florida Mayhem, Los Angeles Valiants, Atlanta, Shanghai Dragons, Philadelphia Fusions, and Gangho Chargers in last. Take note that a lot of these teams haven't played yet, since they just moved on to stage 2. I'm not exactly sure how Overwatch League works all together. I think it's just like, just like any other league, really. Just keep winning. In terms of game releases, since we just started out in April, April doesn't have a whole lot of game releases. It's really just news, I think, for E3, which comes up in like 2 months, essentially. So they got The Walking Dead final season was the end of March. I think the biggest game to look forward to this month will be Days Gone, which is the PlayStation exclusive zombie game. So you have that to look forward to. Now, in terms of news, Game of Thrones, the final season will start April 14th. Which is next Sunday. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Magic the Gathering, their next expansion, which drops I think May 5th, but pre-release is April 25th. Spoilers have started coming out for War of the Spark, which is really exciting. There's going to be 36 planeswalkers in whole. And how they're doing them is really interesting. Avengers Endgame tickets are now on sale. That comes out the 26th. Also, Joker movie was a big surprise this week. They're making a Joker film. Comes out in October of this year. I don't really know exactly why they would do that. It really just seems like for me, DC's trying to get as close to Batman, which is arguably their most successful and famous IP and makes them the most money. And they're trying to get as close to Batman as possible without actually having Batman in there, because they want to use him smartly or for the fucking Justice League movies or whatever, you know. Some things that I've been meaning to talk about, and I've been holding off for a couple episodes now, and I'm just gonna dive into it very lightly. The first one being college esports. The story behind this is that the last year in my semester of school, I go to DePaul, and we went on one of the days off when school's generally closed and everyone's, in their dorms or at home or doing whatever, doing homework or at the library. And we went there to study for a group project, me and some friends. And we have an esports lounge at DePaul, which is kind of our centered, one of our center spaces where you can go and play games. And there was currently, at the time that we went, DePaul's League of Legends esports team was playing on ESL LoL at the time. It was very interesting. I was just saying that, college League of Legends and college competitions, because I know that's not it. I know they have college Rocket League leagues. I know they have Overwatch leagues, I believe. I'm not too sure about Smash or Fortnite yet, but I know they have teams for those, especially League of Legends. We have our own League of Legends team. And I thought it was very interesting to look into this, especially in what other colleges will be participating, because we have another college here that I know has their own League of Legends team here in Chicago. I believe the school's actually right next to mine, but it's not coming to mind. Again, like I said, I want to touch this topic very lightly. I want to come back to it in later episodes when I have enough time to definitely research it. But it's definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you go to college or going to college or you're in high school, you want to prepare for it. There is a competitive stage here, and often it's underlooked over the big LCS fantasy, leagues. So we're going to get into some Fortnite drama, of course, because there's always drama with that game. A lot of actually epic drama going on right now. So, but before I want to do that, I wanted to get into a move that TSM made a while back, which is arguably one of the smartest moves I've seen that organization make. They did a trailer, and let's see if I can find it here, called Fortnite Junior. Yeah, they did Fortnite. So they did here's the site or the announcement, and they did an announcement called Fortnite Junior, where essentially they are sponsoring young Fortnite kids, So here's one of them called Slappy. Here they are. Cloud's one of them. And honestly, this is such a smart move by Fortnite. By TSM. And here's why. Fortnite is primarily a game for 12-year-olds, right? They're the ones that really why it blew up and why I play it. Just like my generation had Minecraft, my cousin's generation, who's 12, he has Fortnite, So that's why, that's the core audience of that game. All the, even though we have the money and we spend the dollars on it, right? But when they announced those really weeb kind of, why is this dance in the game? It's really pop culture, which is what Fortnite, obviously advertises for. They're advertising that not to us, the young adults, or the adults. They're advertising that to the 12-year-olds because that's, what's cool to them, So when TSM makes kids that are around the same age as everyone else playing Fortnite and they sponsor them, it brings in a huge different audience to that organization because that's the game's core audience. So now kids who are watching or playing the game will see that other kids like them are joining teams like TSM, and that will make them spend more money and closer to TSM. And it's really just a really smart publicity stunt. And when I saw this, and this came out, a couple months ago, December in 2018, I just thought it was a genius move. Again, I want to touch on this lightly. I want to look into it more. I believe the Cloud dude has participated in a lot of tournaments with Myth, because now Fortnite has what they have is they have their actual, adult team, right? That brings in maybe, that appeals to the adults somewhat, not really, and then appeals to maybe some of the kids, and then they have the kids as well that appeals definitely to the younger audience, and they bring them together, and that is perfect. Now, moving on to other Fortnite drama news. So 8.20 was the last patch that did a lot of things for the game. I was talking to Alberto Pina about this. He was on the show last season, and we were talking about how streamers have started to boycott the game because they took out the 50 mat drop, 500 mat cat, and 50 health and shield on kill in normal game modes, and how streamers were annoying this and essentially boycotting the game because of it. However, on the other hand, they added rank, right? And rank adds, it really brought the competitiveness to Fortnite that was always missing to the game, and what people were asking, it definitely brought it. Arena mode, essentially, is what it's called. Me and Tito Alberto have been grinding out arena mode for the last 3-4 days, and we have felt it that when you get to a certain level in arena mode, you actually starts to become competitive. People start playing differently. By the third circle, if you go in normal games, by the first circle, there's 20 people left. In arena mode, when you're high up there, by the maybe third or fourth circle, there's 20 people left, and that's a huge difference because it's more tight and it's harder and it's so much fun. It changes the game entirely and it makes it competitive. Now, in the ranked game modes, they still have the mats and all that, but in the normal game modes, they took it out because it applied. It made the game, players play super aggressive. Streamers, I guess, are mad at this. What Tito's arguing to me is that they're mad at this because of stream sniping, because they are consistently being bombarded by other players, because players look at their stream, know where they are, and then they go where they are, and just one after another just keep funneling into them, that they don't have time to heal up or do anything like that. So getting kills and then getting the 50 health back really helped those stream snipers stop that. Well, here's the argument. That's still in rank. So you can go still play rank, right? And I think the only game mode, since rank only covers solos and duos, it doesn't cover squads, is where squads gets dicey. But then, really it's a case of, to me, most Fortnite streamers are goofy because the game's goofy, and again, the core audience is children, so that's what kids will look up to, is goofy audience. Just like if you look at League, the top streamers right now are Tyler One and Yasuo, which are both notorious for being, well, not really Yasuo the person, but Yasuo the champion, are notorious for just being so much hate and so much salt and then Tyler 1 went through his whole rehab things, and that's kind of League's audience. You know, people who play League are fucking angry and fucking salty. So it's the same thing kind of applies to Fortnite, where everyone's kind of goofy, and the core audience of that game is children. So, of course, they're going to get stream snipe. Now, League, you can stream snipe your jungler. But how they fix this is that most streamers start putting like an overlay over the map so you can't see where the jungler is, right? And that fixed the problem. Fortnite, however, can't really do that. And you can't win, but then again in life, you can never win at both games. You either lose at something and win at the other, or win at the other and lose at something. So my whole entire argument was that they should just add, delay. There's such the thing as stream delay. Yes, you don't get to interact with your audience as much, but stream delay is a thing, and it prevents stuff like those. Another thing is that they even have a streamer mode in Fortnite that hides your name. So if you're in the lobby, they don't exactly know it's you. I guess that doesn't help so much. Again, I don't really stream Fortnite, and but it's an interesting thing. So I can't think that them being mad at Epic for cutting up the skill base is really fair. I think if you're playing casual, just playing for kills, don't really care about wins, yes, go to the normal game modes. But if there's also these streamers have been the ones that have been preaching, that they want the game to be super more competitive, then go play the ranked modes. So it's a very heated topic, I guess. Let me know if you think. I think, you just can't win. You choose one or you choose the other. That's all I can really say. The other big controversy that actually more affects me, I guess, as a PC player, and a lot of players are actually, I think, kind of somewhat mad about this, is stretch resolution. So if you don't know what stretch resolution is essentially you change your aspect ratios to and your resolution to stretch out the game, making your field of view bigger than what the game's set to be. It looks different, but I mean, you've definitely seen it. So basically, I do 1444 by 1080. So what it does is it just basically stretches out my resolution, making everything bigger, let me see more. You can't do this on console. And it is a huge boost. It actually does help a lot. So Epic announced that in their kind of state of competitive Fortnite that in the near future, and I quote, "We will be updating how we handle custom resolutions on PC. When using a custom resolution, vertical FOV will be locked. Horizontal FOV will be unlocked in all modes. But in competitive playlists, arena, and in-game tournaments, we'll be locking the aspect ratio to 16:9. So, why would they do this, right? The answer is, it's a cross-platform game, PC players play with console players. What can PC players do that console players can't do? Well, we can basically do anything. We can do stretch res. We can lower our graphics. We have higher FPS, We're just always will be technology, we will always be superior technology wise to a console, always, until consoles catch up to computers in the future. But again, everything keeps improving, so we'll always be superior to them, right? And of course, stretch res gives PC players a huge boost over controller or console players. So they want to limit that in competitive game modes, so even the playing field. But that's not really fair, right? That becomes, again, with them, it becomes, again, you can't have both, right? PC players have always been superior to console players. We build faster than them. We aim better than them just because our machines run better than them. Mouse and keyboard is much more, less delay than a controller. It's just, and yes, you can make a controller work. There's people who do that. But even like Nick Merckx, for instance, he plays the controller, but does he play on console? No, he plays on PC. Because it's better. It's always been better. So, them nerfing PC is not really a fair solution to the PC market. And it becomes one of those things where, like, the question is, like, who do you fuck, really? And they decided to fuck PC to make the console kids feel better. But there's another option they could take, and it's much simpler, and it makes everyone happy. Just add a field of view slider to the game. If they added a field of view slider to PC, and they added a field of view slider to console, but if we wouldn't never have to do this janky stretch res shit. We have to do the custom resolutions. And if they add it, you could take off shadows on console and do that. Then that would be great. But again, at some point in time, it just becomes that PC will always outperform console players because the technology, they're limited to 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second, whatever they run on. They're limited to input lag with their controller and all that. So it's not really a fair solution. I'm voicing this because I also play on stretch res. I like it a lot. And I hope that they don't go through with these changes. If they do, just add a field of view slider, it's not really that fair. In fact, it's actually really disappointing. Before we get into the Borderlands news, I wanted to talk about another very interesting piece that came out this week. I read the full thing. Kotaku, author Jason Scurry, I'm sorry if I butcher that, released an article of the development process of Anthem and why it, like, where and how it went wrong. And it was just a very interesting piece, not just to see like why that game bombed really, but like how difficult it is to design a game as a developer and how you need support and you need time and you just need like a real focus and real leadership. So short story short, Anthem wasn't really supposed to be called Anthem. It was supposed to be called Beyond, and they changed that like a week before the E3 presentation. And it was been in development since like Mass Effect 3. And it was supposed to be like a survival exploration game, really, not a looter shooter that it became. And why I think, reading the article, why Anthem really failed is because EA didn't give them the support that they needed. Of course, it's EA. And two, lack of leadership. They didn't have leadership. And they were really, really seemed like the company was really stressed out after the Division 2, dealing with Biofrost engine instead of the Unreal Engine. And they just really, at the end of the day, I just think his leadership. I definitely recommend you go on Kotaku, search how Bioware's Anthem went wrong, and read the article for yourself. It is such a good fucking article, and it really gives you an in-depth on like just game design in general. So one thing, so the three problems where I can see is, of course, leadership. It seems like they never had a primary leader to really make, it's like throughout the article it just states that they never had a primary leader to make decisions and just say, okay, this is what we're going with, we're not changing it, it's done, it's set in stone. Okay? and they suffered from that throughout all of its development cycle, and we can see how this game suffered from it, and we could also probably see how Mass Effect Andromeda also suffered from it, because Mass Effect Andromeda was also being developed and released at the same time that Anthem was being developed. And Anthem was in pre-production all the way till like June 2017, which is, it was in 6 years pre-production that the article says, which is absolutely ridiculous for any game, really. If you're in pre-production for that long and haven't come up with a final decision, your leadership's bad. So that's the first one. The second one is the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine, or not the Unreal Engine, but the Frostbite engine was an engine developed by DICE, and Bioware never used it until Dragon Age Inquisition, it looks like. They were originally using Mass Effect. All the original Mass Effect games were made in the Unreal Engine, which is Epic Games engine. And they ran into some big problems with that. And when they're doing something new, because BioWare's known for RPGs, and they're making an online shooter, multiplayer, co-op game now, something completely new, and they are also using an engine that they don't understand, something's bound to go wrong, right? So that's point number 2, which also ties into point number 3. Point number 3 is that EA, the worst company in America, named multiple times, never gave them the support that they needed. In the article, I remember them stating that a lot of the team that worked at BioWare that knew how to work with that engine went to work on FIFA, which is EA's biggest money cash grab, just like Call of Duty is Activision's. Then the team dedicated to help other developers with the Frostbite engine weren't helping them because, of course, they weren't making the most cash or anything like that. So they, again, just from EA, and then EA not giving them enough deadlines. And we'll remember this because I'm going to bring up another point later. Just they didn't get enough support that they needed, which really hurts. So that's all. Actually, yeah, that's all I'm going to name about this for now. Moving in, this is kind of like, if you look at Japanese companies, right? You look at Square Enix, you look at Nintendo. They don't talk about their games until they're ready to talk about it. They don't announce the release date until they're ready, until they know that they're ready to talk about it. And they also work, and provide the support that they need. The companies get the support that they need, or as much support as they can, to work on those games. My fourth point was that BioWare itself as a company, again, this kind of ties into leadership, just didn't seem to be doing too hot. But looking at the Japanese game developers, you could really see the difference between, and if you read this article, you can see the difference between how they operate, where they operate to make a good game to please their audience, versus how American game developers operate, how they operate to make as much money as possible, as fast as possible, as half-assed as possible. And it's really disappointing. Honestly, it really is disappointing. I think that's a byproduct. Even though American companies make games, PlayStation exclusives, Sony's on their ass saying, if your game's not ready, it's not ready, we're not releasing it. And I think that's why PlayStation has been dominant over this last console cycles with so many great games. Anyway, if you have a chance to read the article, definitely go read the article. It's a really good article. Moving on to Borderlands. So, Borderlands announced the release date, September 13th of this year, on PlayStation, Xbox, and Epic Games Store. More on that later. First, we're going to go over some of the characters. So, there are, of course, 4 characters. I forget their names. They're in the trailer. Here we go. So, fearless renegade mercenaries on the wildest interplanetary treasure hunters of all time. Flag, it is spelled with a 4, so who knows how to pronounce that, is a wandering robotic tracker whose cold steel heart warms only for their pets beasts. So, the robot dude is a Beastmaster. He seems to be a cross of what, between Zero, Mordecai, and the Mechanist from Borderlands 2. A lot of these characters seem to just be like, okay, previous Borderlands 2 characters kind of fucked and created these, but his power is to control, have a pet and that goes around and destroys shit. Arma beats bad guys into pancakes with her psychic fist. So she's the Siren. She seems to be like Brick and Maya or someone kind of fucked and created her. She's the melee character, and we see her in the trailer constantly with her fist, and she just, beats motherfuckers up. Mosey's best friend is a 10-ton walking killing machine. So she seems to be the soldier type, and she has a mech, which is cool. And then Zan is a semi-retired corporate hitman, and he seems to be the stealth. He has a drone sort of type. So a lot of these characters just seem to be crosses of old characters, but I'm not going to spend too much time on them because there's more important things that I think to spend time on. But they seem to just be crosses of old characters, and really where their potential will come from is how well can they develop. How well do their skill trees develop their abilities? Somewhat like Borderlands 2, because a lot of Borderlands abilities are really generic, especially in Borderlands 2. But once you got to certain levels and put certain skill points and things, those abilities became super strong, super powerful. So I'm hoping it's the same with them. The bad guys, I think, are called the Callisto twins. They want to unite the bandits. Like I said, in our previous episode, I kind of called it. They want to unite the bandits, and they want to go get all the treasure from all the different worlds, because you're actually in this game, like we said before in our previous episode, you are traveling to different worlds. That is right. So you won't be just stuck on Pandora. You'll be traveling to Pandora 2, Pandora 3, Pandora 4, etc. So that's really cool to see. The guns, we have the Atlas guns. Hit your enemy with tracking tags. Step 2, unleash hail of smart bullets that track towards your target. And step 3, loot. They look really interesting. We have the Hyperion guns, of course. Aim down the sights, take cover behind your weapon mounted shield, and keep your finger on the trigger for increased accuracy. The Malouin weapons. Toggle between 2 elements, change your weapon, and deal guaranteed elemental damage with your fingers guided on the trigger. The Dallas weapons. Toggle between alternative fire modes depending on your playstyle, your predicament, and your... My bad, stumbled there. But yeah, Torg. Switch between regular and sticky projectile fire modes. Stickies do more damage, but a bunch of them detonate at the same target. The Cove, which is like the new E-Tech guns. Enjoy uninterrupted damage dealing courtesy of infinite ammo. Magazines occasionally interrupted by unpredicted overheating. The Jacob deal devastating critical hits to enemies soft and sensitive. They enjoy puking as your bullets ricochet towards other targets. The guns with legs. Toss your gun like a grenade to reload, then switch it to pursue a nearby enemy as a fully loaded version. Basically, the guns with legs. And Valdov. Augment these rapid fire ammo hungry guns with underbarrel attachments, including tasers, rocket tubes, and additional gun barrels. So the guns are kind of cool. I like the approach that they're going now. They all look somewhat the same, of course, but it seems like they all have a unique feature to that brand of gun, which I think is actually a really smart idea. Really, the unique features for the guns, like they all felt different in Borderlands 2, but the unique part came from like whether they were legendary and what type of abilities they had. Other than that, anything under like legendary or like rare was just kind of like same old, same old. So that's the news for Borderlands 2. There's 4 editions. There's the normal edition, the deluxe edition, the super deluxe edition, and then like the collector's edition. In my opinion, well, before we go to this, let's move to the controversy. So the controversy is that there's this Twitter thread, which was the announcement trailer, and people were pissed, specifically PC gamers, and I'm actually kind of pissed too. 2K, who has publishing rights to the game, made the decision to, for 6 months, Borderlands 3 will be exclusive on the Epic's Game Store. Right? Now, if you look at the stream or the YouTube video, or I'm just gonna say it, there's tons of things that Steam has, tons of just small features that Steam has that Epic doesn't, and it's really disappointing. One being third-party keys. Epic has that, or does Epic have that? No. Account sharing, Epic, no. Achievements, Epic doesn't have it. Big picture mode / TV mode, Epic doesn't have it. Broadcasting, Epic doesn't have it. Chemite Com Spine, Epic does have that. Cloud saves, which is the biggest one for me. I lost my computer in the fire when I had a fire about a couple years ago, and if I didn't have cloud saves, my Borderlands 2 saves would be lost. Steam has that. Epic doesn't. Cross-platform account connection, they both have that. That's good. Moving on. Forms, Epic doesn't have that. Gifting, Epic doesn't have that. Library sorting, Epic doesn't have that. Just marketplace, the user reviews, things like the whole overlay, they both have that actually. There will be probably exclusive loot that's you can only get on Epic. User reviews is a big thing that they don't have. VR support, wish list, just tons of features, right? And again, if I just to read through the entire list, because I just kind of shot through offline play, that's huge. Epic doesn't have offline play, so to read through the entire list, I recommend you go watch the stream or the VOD of this podcast, but find the tweet yourself. It's probably not that hard to find. It's by Bro Chammy. But it's such a disappointment. And when I see that and I see how much you lose, it really makes you think, again, it's too early, I think, to jump until the game actually gets closer to release. But for me right now, I would rather wait for a year for it to come on Steam. I've waited 7 years. I can wait one more than to buy it on the Epic Store. Epic Store, I have no problem with it. It's just not there yet compared to Steam. And I just lose a lot. Plus, I also do want my games all in one place compared to jumping back and forth between Epic and Steam. So, there's a lot of controversy behind this. Tell me what you think, because I do think it is somewhat of a problem, and I think we need to look out for it. I think we can state something, but it is actually extremely disappointing to see this happen. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, really, I have no problem with Epic. Again, it's just not there yet. So that's going to conclude this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow us on all forms of social media. We have a Instagram. You check out the website for past videos or past SoundCloud or anything. All of our past shows are up on our YouTube. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, same time. We stream on the live stream, do it live at 7 o'clock Central Time. If you have any questions, you can come on to the stream and you can always ask me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the VOD. I hope you have a wonderful week.